Hi, this is Billie Beene here with another U.S. News Update, episode 78. Today's date, October 5, 2023. Some of the things we'll cover: winter, aliens, chemtrails, CCP, U.S. dollar, and October surprise. Some of my sources are God in the Bible, Patriot Subscribers, Cliff High, Benjamin Fulford, and others. So let's get started. Okay, first I'll begin with Patriot Subscribers responding to some recent videos regarding Seavers and Bible verses. Do not fear. Yeshua reveals what will be hidden shall be known, and mentions Luke chapter 12 verses 2 to 5, Luke chapter 18 and verse 17, Mark chapter 4 and verse 22, and 1 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 5. And now we have this. In the 2024 presidential election, this Patriot subscriber believes Nasara will be in place and that we will have President Trump and JFK Jr. as vice president. I have a Patriot subscriber regarding ice cores. 6 or 7 years ago, I watched a video with a team of Russian scientists who were removing ice cores, she says, from the edge of the dome, which was 800 miles thick. By the time they got the ice cores back to Russia, they had virtually melted because their freezers were not cold enough. Patriot subscriber from from Canada, saying that it wasn't an Indian diplomat that was murdered, it was a terrorist group. Well, I'll cover that a little bit later. The mainstream media in Canada didn't quite put it out right. I have a Patriot subscriber talking about upcoming, this is a joke. Turkey is close to the nation of Greece. And she says Turkey being in Greece is for the Thanksgiving celebrations. Talking about Thanksgiving. Patriot subscriber talking about cash. Okay, I was at a Michigan credit union and there was no cash available from the ATM. Then I went to the Dollar General store and I found out I could not pay in cash. They said they didn't have any change. So we'll see. We see something going on with cash. I have a Patriot subscriber talking about the quantum financial system that's associated with Nasara, that the Schumann, that's the vibration from the earth, is now in a geometric pattern because the quantum financial system is coming online. Well, we like that. Now, I have a Patriot subscriber talking about the harvest moon was beautiful. That was recent. Amazing. Patriot subscriber talking about Mount Tambora in Indonesia, a volcano. Erupted in 1815, which affected her family, the Wincoops, who were in New York, and they moved to Ohio. But they had to plant many times that year, 1815. It was a year without a summer. Yeah, I've heard about that. It's possible we might be having something similar coming up soon. Yeah. And I have this. Yeah. Okay. And now the Patriot subscriber is talking about the binary system, two suns, Also includes Planet X orbiting around it. That's something new I hadn't heard before. And mentions the Hopi legend about Red Kachina. I have heard about that. Okay, so let's get started. We'll first begin with winter. I believe we're going to see some dramatic changes in our winter and changes all over the earth in terms of weather, with the magma rising inside the earth, which I received from God in the fall of 2020. And God said, especially pay attention to the edges of the tectonic plates. So we have magma rising inside the earth. We know we have something going on in space that's going to be impacting the earth. Now, Suspicious Observers is putting this out. Ben Davidson, Suspicious Observers is a good science-based space weather site, talking about a surge in plasma that's up on the Earth and in the top of the ionosphere. So we would have the ionosphere up here at the top of our levels of atmosphere. And we had an anomaly 8 days before the Turkey earthquake of 7.8. And that there are signs in space that can be used as predictors of earthquakes. Now, Israeli News Live Stephen Gardner had interviewed an astronomer from Chile. He's since passed away. He was in his 90s. But he used the sun and planets to predict earthquakes. And he was so good at it that the Chile government threatened to arrest him, because every time he would give out a prediction, it would scare the people and they would move away from that area. But no one denied that his predictions were accurate. So that's going on. And we have this. Adapt 2030 is also talking about, around the Earth we have an electromagnetic shield that's down, so we're experiencing more impact from the sun. That correlates to two terms I heard from God a few months ago: radiation sickness, and the other was neutrinos, and I have something on that. So the Earth's magnetic shield is going down. We have more radiation from space. We are going to be having more earthquakes and volcanoes. Now, the volcanoes can also lead to a colder winter, just as my Patriot subscriber was talking about what happened to her family in New York in 1815. Yeah, we have the possibility of that coming. The overall predictions for this winter is that it's going to be cold and stormy, and much colder in Texas and surrounding states. And now we'll talk about aliens. Israeli News Live Stephen Gardner, formerly with the CIA, now as a ministry, and regularly gets updates from the Pentagon because he continues to translate ancient Hebrew text and the Dead Sea Scrolls for them. Interviewed Greg Brinchick, who also has a ministry. And Greg was with the U.S. Air Force. He was trained as a sniper. He was the head of security at Area 51. And it's located in southern Nevada at Groom Lake. And Stephen interviewed him, and he gave out some information about aliens up on Earth. Now, these aliens are actually fallen angels, and now I understand they're only found upon Earth, and that they are confined to Earth, and they also mate with humans. They make hybrids that we know as the Nephilim. Now, the number of species, Israeli News Stephen Gardner says on Earth there's 160 species of aliens, ETs, including the fallen angels and the Pleiadians and other groups. And the Pleiadians, according to Peter the Insider, director of the 12th Division of the ACIO Alien Contact Intel Organization, a division of the U.S. federal government, NSA, says that there are many groups of Pleiadians. Some are good and some are evil. And so what's coming out in Stephen's interview is that many of the Pleiadians on the Earth are also evil, and that these fallen angels also kidnap and disappear children. They kidnap adults also. They consume humans. They also mate with humans because they were not given the ability to reproduce by God. And so that's going on. Now, this Pleiadian group also fights against the fallen angels. Some of these groups are the reptilians, the greys, and other species. And they recently, the Pleiadians brought a charge against the reptilians before the Galactic Federation. So that's going on. And now we have this. Yeah. And they also include Sasquatch. And the fallen angels mated with humans. They made the Nephilim and the 13 bloodline families we see ruling on Earth based on the directions they received from the fallen angels. Some of these families we know, like Rothschild and Rockefeller. Sun Tzu, Art of War. First identify who is your enemy. So that's who we're battling. It's a all-out war against good and evil, God and Satan. And now we have this. Cliff High brought out some interesting information about chemtrails, mentioning the word neutrinos. Now, when I began to hear this from God, I thought neutrinos, they're found in Antarctica, they're found small particles, they're found in space, they're found at CERN, but I couldn't figure out what's going on with neutrinos. So Cliff High's information is the chemtrails that began in 1969, and that correlates also to something else that I'll bring out in my next video, time dilation. So the chemtrails are small particles of aluminum, barium plus, and they make it easier to pick up neutrinos that are in our airspace for radar on the ground and other areas to pick up. The neutrinos are emitted by spacecraft. Now, all major nations, the US, Russia, China, have spacecraft they have back engineered from aliens, and they can also cloak them so they're invisible. So we can see being able to detect neutrinos could be called a good defense move by the US. So we can see, with regard to chemtrails, this would be a good use. We'll have to see about the other negative uses, because there are negative impacts from chemtrails for sure. Now we have this from Sarah Westall, and we interviewed Dick Alguire and one of his people he works with, Edward. Dick is a remote viewer, and his group were successful in bringing out some information about Maui and also 9/11 plus. And what they're getting now is, this correlates. Cliff High brought out that information he was getting from the WebBot data, that between now, this is October, and most likely December, there would be another directed energy weapons attack, as we saw in the Maui massacre. But this will be inside the continental U.S., and they would attack Cheyenne Mountain. It's located in Colorado, and also the Denver airport. Now, so this new information from Dick Alguire's remote viewing group is that they could see into Cheyenne Mountain, and they saw the U.S. military looking at monitors. And what they were looking at on the monitors was a boat that had on it a CCP and a container. They were inside, people inside the container, guarding what was inside it. And so my perception is this is some kind of weapon of mass destruction. I believe there were people inside the container on the ship guarding this item, because I believe it's something that's delicate in terms of being shifted, or temperature, or moisture, something like that. But at any rate, what Dick Alguire's group is now seeing correlates to the Cliff High WebBot data. And we know we have tens of thousands of CCP military flooding across our southern border, and now also our northern border. Excuse me. So now we'll talk about the U.S. money and what's going on there with our economy. Okay, so we have a Maeketer insider who's talking about the collapse of T-bonds that's used by the top levels of our Federal Reserve to fund the U.S. government, other people inside the U.S. and outside buy T-bonds, and then they're paid an interest on it, and then the U.S. Uses that money to fund the government. Well, that's what they say. Okay, so at any rate, Maeketer Insider is reporting a crash in the 10-year T-bonds, that they are down 46% in terms of people buying them. And now this is coming out from Yahoo Finance. Iraq is withdrawing all of its money from U.S. banks, and all of their money will be out by January 1, 2024. So that's going on. And then we have this information from Hal Turner and Adapt 2030. That's talking about the third largest bank in the U.S. just this week told its customers they had no money available for digital payment of bills, and they would be out of money until October 11. I believe that October 7 and October 11 are going to be important dates for us. And now we have this. We have that mortgages in the U.S. 30 days late is the highest level it's ever been. That went up in April. So we can only speculate that it's increased since then. We have a stock market going down. And this is the DAP 2030. And that hedge funds are selling by the end of October, in the next couple of weeks, 20 to 30 billion in equities. And now we have from G Mannarrino, an economist in New York, that the Federal Reserve is intervening in the market because the 10-year yield is down, and that the U.S. dollar has weakened. And now this is a new source for me. I'll give to you too. You can look it up. U.S. Debt Clock.org. And it is saying, and also as reported by Hal Turner, that gold and silver in terms of value for the U.S. dollar is $0. So that's going on. Looks like we have a crashing economy, doesn't it? Now, Hal Turner is bringing this out. In the U.S., we have money supply, M1 and M2. This includes cash, coins, savings, checking, money market, CDs, so items of cash, deposits that are in a bank. And it's gone down. In the past, this happened in 1870, 1893, 1921, 1931 to 33. And these years, I also recall from history, 1929. This was the Great Depression of the U.S. Now, Hal Turner reports a 2% downturn of this money supply is warning, and now it's down 3.69%. And the only time this has been seen in the past is just before a great crash. So that's going on. Now, he says in the past, the U.S. government, when they were faced with a depression like this, of historic proportions, would try to get in some kind of war, well, and implement a draft. I got this to say. During the Vietnam War, the evil and corrupt U.S. government put in place a draft, but the American citizens woke up, sent their sons out of the U.S. And if they try a draft again, the American mothers and fathers are not going to send their sons and daughters out of the U.S. No. This time what they're going to do is come for the government. So let's be clear about that. Too many American citizens are awake we just saw with our lying eyes the Maui massacre. Okay, Benjamin Fulford, he's a Canadian journalist who's lived in Japan for decades. He was 20 years with Forbes. Says Meghan Markle, she's not even a U.S. citizen, she's British, was offered the position of Dianne Feinstein's Senate position, and she turned it down. So that's going on. Now, Benjamin, based on his intel from multiple nations, says change in government by December, and that will include JV, Z, and Xi, and China, and also Trudeau in Canada. And now we have this from Zero Hedge, talking about that recent assassination of an Indian diplomat. So it's India diplomat who was assassinated inside Canada. And this would part of my response to my Patriot subscriber was. So the diplomat from India was assassinated on the orders of Trudeau. Multiple intel organizations around the world verify this. He was killed by a Niger who was a member of a terrorist group, the Khalistani. Now, we still don't know what is the explanation for why Trudeau wanted this diplomat from India assassinated. We still don't know that. But we do have this. India is Canada inside India has a total of 62 Canadian diplomats. India has now said for all of the diplomats in New Delhi, which is a total of 41, they are to be expelled from India by October 10. So we see another frame up for that date, October 11, and something big happening. And now from Burning Platform. Yeah. So FEMA, that's not a part of the U.S. government. It's actually a private corporation funded by the U.S. government. So FEMA plans to suspend the Constitution of the United States of America and put the JV show in bunkers, claiming it's doing so under continuity of government. And 2 dates to look for this happening, October 7 and October 11. So, yeah. What's going on? And now we have this. Stephen Gardner is reporting, RFK Jr. is now out of the Democrat Party. He's going to run for president as an independent, most likely libertarian. So that's going on. Yeah, and we do have that new budget. The budget the U.S. Congress just approved ends November 15. So we see things going on in October and November. And now we had this recently. We have had multiple sources talking about who's going to be the next Speaker of the House. We do have, it appears, musical chairs in the U.S. federal government. So we have the Speaker of the House, McCarthy voted out of the speaker position. I think it was 215 Dems and about 12 Republicans who were conservatives, not rhinos. It appears Speaker McCarthy had been having secret meetings with Nancy Pelosi and was blocking the move to impeach JB and also blocking the move to indict Hunter Biden based on the evidence on his laptop. So he's out. Now, the Speaker of the House was replaced by a pro tem, Patrick Henry, Republican in North Carolina. Now, the pro tem position can only gavel in, start meetings, can make announcements, cannot put forward any legislation. Only the Speaker of the House can do that. So, a few days ago, Speaker of the House McCarthy was voted out. The first thing that Patrick Henry did was dismiss the House. They are to return October 11. And now we have this. Yeah. So we see with regard to the musical chairs of that, we have Speaker of the House is third in line to be president. And we hear that by December, JB will be out. KH is not eligible to be president because she wasn't born an American citizen. The drive now is to replace and make President Trump Speaker of the House. How could this happen? President Trump's current residence is in Florida. If a House of Representatives individual were to resign from Florida, President Trump could be named to take their place, could then be elected Speaker of the House. JB and KH are out. President Trump would take the chair. So that's going on. And that's what many people believe will happen by October 11. Yeah, that's going on. And now a short prayer. The name of this prayer, I predict in the future a primary new industry for America will be mining of gold. I believe God is raising magma inside the earth, and he's going to bless and prosper America again with many minerals and precious things inside our earth. The title of this prayer is Once Again and Forever. May the skies of America be once again and forever clear and blue. May the land of America be once again and forever golden with grain and with gold. May the waters of America be once again and forever vibrant, clear, and cool, and vibrant with life. And may the pilgrims of America once again and forever enjoy and prosper in a nation of truth and justice. May the ecclesia of America once again and forever guide in all areas, including churches, schools, government, media, banking, and in our courts. May God once again and forever reign, guide, and prosper America, the land of the free and the brave. And I say to my family and friends, remain steady out there, continue to pray. It's good to remember God is in charge and He is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.